Good afternoon and welcome to another amazing episode of PEACEZONE with Peace Ambassadors on your favorite channel, KAFTAN TV Abuja. And as I always ask you, how are you doing today? I want to believe that this season of transition and every other thing going on in the country, Nigeria, Africa, I think Africa celebrated African Union's Day yesterday, and all the things happening around the world. I want to believe that you're becoming peaceful with yourself, others, and the environment. Hope you're ensuring justice, security, and development in your spaces. I'm Moses Abolade, your peace building facilitator and host. Notably, PEACEZONE, as I said last week, we need partners like you to join this show so that we can make it sustainable. You're to join as a sponsor or to advertise your goods and services at affordable prices. It is important that you do this so that we can sustain this program and ensure that peace reign within your space. And you can do it by reaching out to Peace Education and Practice Network or KAFTAN TV through +23 8109 661910 or ppepnet@gmail.com or info@thepepnet.org. Last week, I will be doing a recap. Last week, we discussed Southern Kaduna conflict, and we did that looking at the root causes. Just like you know, on this show, we pay attention to what are the root causes of a particular crisis situation, who are the actors, and what are the things the actors can do differently. I will look at the responses of the government, either the state or the federal level, at different levels, to see what they are doing. We also look at non-state actors to see how they would have managed it better and how they can do more so that they can alleviate that situation from the people who are affected in different places, to see how they can transfer them from conflict situations to PEACEZONE where we are right now. And I want to believe that you are doing that too in your own little way. So as a peace person, you by now on this show, the idea is that by now you should be a peace builder. So you are taking actions in different capacity to become a peace builder. So we started a series 2 weeks ago looking at the situation of conflict, or the conflict situation in northern Nigeria, and that is to tell you that we are concerned about what is going on in our space here in Nigeria. We have looked at what is happening in Sudan. We have looked at what is happening globally. And the idea is that in all this, you are learning something. You're looking at how best to manage conflict, how best to address issues of violence in your spaces. And I believe by doing that, you will have more to do when it comes to security, when it comes to development and changing the situation, which we call conflict transformation, and we'll be discussing that as we continue. Today is a special day, but before we do that, we'll go on a short break, and when we come back, we'll be doing justice to some major issues in peace building. Thank you very much. Stay glued. You're welcome back to another edition of PEACEZONE with Peace Ambassadors, and as we always do, and I told you earlier, we'll be having a wonderful time discussing issues, conflict situations in northern Nigeria. And our guest, though having challenges to join us via a phone call because it's currently in Jos, and we are trying to see how we can get him to give us a first-hand information as regards what's going on in Plateau State. What we are looking at today should be the conflict situation in Plateau State, and based on what we have seen recently as regards the report, the report showing us from what Christian Association of Nigeria said, there has been a warning against the reprisal attack that happened on the 15th of May 2023, where we see continued killings in Mangu and Riyom local government areas of Plateau State, and we have seen the report stated that over 130 persons have been killed in the past week, and 1,000 buildings burnt, and 22 villages affected. Now, Plateau State is, as we all know it, Plateau State is described as the home of peace and tourism, and since then there has been seemingly peace before now, but since early 2000, I know most of you are aware that there has been a lot of challenges when it comes to crisis, from ranging from either herdsmen killing and communal clashes, and this has been going on for a while. So we will be discussing while we're waiting for our guest. We hope that he joins in before the end of the show. However, I will want you to have this opportunity also to reach out to us. You can call in to +23 +234 8109 661 to share your view about what you know is currently going on as regards this issue. And we'll just be discussing, I'll be discussing in view of how it is as a peace builder, what we are looking at, and what are the primary causes that have affected this conflict to have lingered this long. However, while we are waiting for our guest, we hope he comes on. But in that space of time, we've been doing something as regards northern situation of conflict in northern Nigeria. I would just want us to also do a recap to look at what exactly has been befalling most of the states, especially when it comes to issues of either herdsmen killings that has been happening between either indigenous, just like we discussed with Elisha last week, where he explained to us that most of these killings are product of what the fight for supremacy of overland. But in the view of it, it moved from just being a tussle for land ownership to the issues around ethnic violence. Identity crisis begin to set in, and from there he also moved from that to religious crisis. So it shows that conflict situation in most cases might start from a smaller perspective or from resource derivation or deprivation between two people, but might also move from there to conflict that has to do with identity. So it also tells us that conflict situations are dynamic, they are fluid in nature, and they can change per time. And that's the reason why it's so important that no matter the stage of that crisis, it's important for us to stem it at every little chance we have. We are also trying to see if Mr. Godwin is currently joining us. By what I can hear, is not here right now. But we'll continue discussing issues that can affect this to have prolonged this long. Now, the cause of most of this conflict is resource issues, based on a tussle for land ownership, a tussle for who is the first migrant here, who owns the land. And when that happens, most times it's important that stakeholders come together. When those crises are coming in and they are going on for decades, it's important that stakeholders or interveners find means of getting people to come together to have a dialogue. And during the dialogue, people can know how best to manage such crisis. From having it as a dialogue, then there can be different means of going to stakeholders, either that might not be at the scene, but they are influencing issues on that conflict. And that way, when it's well attended to, looking at indicators that might have been causing this from the latent stage of the conflict, is important to pay attention to those indicators, and state government in charge of those states and responsible to those people come at once to change the narrative and to bring those people to express their feelings and share what they need to share. Now, I'll be discussing this impact generally how it's been for different categories of person, either in PLATEAU state, either in PLATEAU, either in Kaduna, and every other place we will still be touching. The main thing is that while having such conflict, concentrations or damage, the damage is more on children, on women, on people that are vulnerable to all these groups. And when that happens, it's important that the people that suffered most times, we are cutting short. We cut short their capacity to become what they should have been to secure this country in the future. And that is why it's important that we pay attention to these realities and do everything possible to bring people from this state of obscurity or violence to a state of peace. I want to say it's important that we all make contributions to see how we can stop violence at its peak or at any point in time. The last thing I'll be touching on before we go for today is to look at how best you yourself can also maintain peace in your own way. How can you achieve peace in your own little way? So one of the ways you can also maintain peace when you say things like this is to see how you can spend your own time, your own effort to peace actions. Now, when you see people talking about peace or an organization working on peace, you do everything possible to join hands together with them, to support such missions, to ensure that we can actualize peace in a true sense. And it is obvious that this can happen with your little effort. It might just be you sharing the information to other people. I always say that sharing opportunities or sharing peace content is also an act of peace. So when you do that, instead of sharing wrong information, instead of sharing fake news, instead of sharing insensitive content on social media, it will be very good that you do all you can within your best to share resourceful messages. This way we will go far in achieving the peace we are looking out for. And it's also important that when people are in violent conflict, when you see yourself in a conflict situation, you stop, you take your time to think about the situation before you react to that situation. Because most of the time when we are affected with conflict situation, we don't always stop to think about what will the consequences of my actions be. What will be the consequences when I take guns and I begin to shoot the other person or kill the other person? What will the repercussion be on myself? And will you ask yourself the question, what would have been the best way to manage this crisis? And that way it will help you be able to take different stand or do what we call partner, which is you taking better alternative negotiation agreement. You can also speak up in a legal way to see how you can address it. This way you are promoting peace in your own way, and you don't need to start at the communal level. You are in a relationship, or you are in a group, and there is conflict like this. You must take actions like what I'm saying right now. You must, when there is an issue, always take time to stop, think about it, act before you act or react on it. Think about it before you take action, and think of other alternatives so that you can achieve the same result you are expecting without being violent. And that way we will go a long way in changing the course of things as regards peace in our society, especially in Nigeria. And I want to say, before we end it for this particular edition, it's important we all pay attention to issues of peace. And this, I must say, peace is a multidisciplinary concern, meaning no matter your discipline, either you are an engineer, either you are a doctor, either you are a geographer, you are all connected to peace building, because if there's no peace in the land, you won't be able to practice. Because if there's no peace wherever you are, it will be very difficult for you to take action or do other things you ought to do. Even as a businessman, peace is integral to you, and that is why it's important that we pay attention to peace in itself. I want to say special appreciation goes to everyone that has made this episode a success. We are sorry for our guest that couldn't join us. I think is a connection concern, but I'm so sure that we will find every means to bring him again on another episode to discuss properly on the conflict crisis in Plateau State and see how we can look at stakeholders reaching a resolution. Thank you very much for joining me. Special thanks to KAFTAN TV management team. Special thanks to PEPNet management team, and special thanks to PEACEZONE project crew and all peace builders doing amazing work in different parts of the world. We want to say thank you for all you do. I want to say that your work is having great impact on different people. Join us again next time on another interesting episode of PEACEZONE on KAFTAN TV. Ensure you stay safe, you stay peaceful as they develop. I am Moses Abolade. Thank you for watching.